The diner was packed that afternoon, the kind of busy hum where plates clattered, people laughed, and no one noticed the storm brewing at table 7. A young man in a designer jacket sat there. Expensive watch, smug grin, and the kind of arrogance only money can buy. Across from him, his friends laughed too loud, filling the place with noise that didn't belong. At the counter, a young waitress worked fast, her hair pulled back, hands trembling slightly as she tried to keep up with orders. She smiled through exhaustion, polite, soft-spoken, the kind of person who said sorry, even when it wasn't her fault. When she brought their food over, the rich teen leaned back in his seat, eyes gleaming with cruel amusement. "Took you long enough," he said. She smiled weakly. "Sorry, sir, the kitchen's a bit busy." Before she could finish, he picked up his glass of soda and spit straight into it. The sound was sharp, ugly. His friends laughed as he pushed the glass toward her. "You can drink that, sweetheart. Maybe then you'll move faster next time." The diner went silent. Forks stopped midair. Someone gasped near the counter. The girl froze, her lips parting but no words coming out. Her eyes watered as she set the tray down and whispered, "Please, don't." But the boy just smirked. "What? I'm teaching her respect." He didn't know that at the far corner of the diner, 50 leather vests were turned his way. The faint smell of motor oil and rain clung to the air. Hell's Angels, resting from a long ride, quietly watching the entire thing unfold. One of them, a heavy-built man with a gray beard and calm eyes, set his coffee down. "Did he just spit on her?" he muttered. Another biker beside him, tattoos crawling down his arms, leaned forward. "Yeah," he said, voice low. "And he's still breathing." The leader stood up slowly. The wooden floor creaked under his boots. He cracked his neck once, then started walking toward the table, calm, measured, deadly quiet. The room seemed to shrink with every step he took. The boy turned, still smirking. "What are you looking at, old man?" The biker stopped beside him. "Just wondering," he said, voice like gravel, "if your daddy ever taught you manners." The boy scoffed, looking at his friends for backup. "Do you know who my dad is?" The biker smiled faintly. "Doesn't matter, kid. I'm wondering if he knows what you are." The waitress tried to step in, her voice shaking. "Please, it's okay. Just let it go." But the biker shook his head slowly. "No, sweetheart," he said, eyes never leaving the boy. "Not this time." He leaned closer to the rich teen, his voice a low growl. "You're gonna stand up, look her in the eye, and apologize like a man. Or we'll teach you what respect really means." The boy's grin faded. Around the diner, 50 bikers shifted in their seats, silent but ready, the sound of leather creaking like a warning before a storm. The boy's hands trembled. You can't touch me," he stammered. The leader's eyes hardened. "I don't need to." He tilted his head toward the door. "Step outside, and we'll talk about what kind of man spits on a woman just trying to earn her keep." The boy froze. His friends were already shrinking into their chairs, pale as paper. The waitress whispered again, "Please don't hurt them." The biker looked at her, his face softening. "We're not going to hurt anyone, darling." He turned back to the boy. "We're just going to make sure he remembers this day every time he looks in a mirror." The entire diner held its breath as the boy slowly stood, his arrogance gone, replaced by fear. The boy pushed his chair back slowly, his legs shaking so hard the metal scraped against the floor. His friends sat frozen, wide-eyed, watching the man they'd mocked now tower over them. The leader of the bikers, his vest patched with the words Hell's Angels, Redwood Chapter, took one small step closer. The air itself seemed to tighten. "Say it," he said quietly. The boy swallowed hard. "I'm sorry." "Not to me." The biker replied, his voice calm but heavy. "To her." The boy turned to the waitress, his throat tight. I'm sorry," he mumbled. She stood there trembling, clutching the tray to her chest. Her eyes flickered between the biker and the boy. "It's okay," she said softly, though everyone could see it wasn't. The biker's gaze didn't waver. "You look her in the eyes when you apologize. You don't mumble through it like a coward." The boy's lips trembled. "I'm sorry, ma'am," he said louder this time, his voice cracking. "I shouldn't have done that." The diner was silent. The waitress blinked back tears and nodded. "Thank you." The biker gave a slow nod. "Now," he said, his tone lowering again, "you and your friends are going to help her clean every table in this diner. Then you're going to leave her a tip big enough to cover the respect you threw away." The boy opened his mouth to argue, but the sound of 50 chairs scraping across the floor stopped him cold. Every biker in the diner stood, big, silent, watching. The message was clear. He grabbed a napkin from the counter and started wiping the table. His friends followed, quiet as ghosts. One of them whispered, "Man, let's just go." The leader looked at him and said simply, "No one leaves until she says they can." The waitress stood there frozen, her lip trembling as she watched the richest kid in town scrub mustard off a table with his designer sleeves rolled up. One of the older bikers came to stand beside her, voice soft and warm. "You did nothing wrong, sweetheart. Don't you ever let trash like that make you feel small." Her chin quivered. "Thank you," she whispered. "Don't thank us," he said. "Just keep being kind. The world's short on that." By the time the boys finished cleaning, the room smelled of soap and silence. They placed a wad of cash on the counter, at least a few $100s. The leader nodded once. "Now get out." The boys didn't need to be told twice. They hurried toward the door, pushing it open so fast the bell rang twice. As the door swung shut, the room finally exhaled. The waitress turned to the bikers. "You didn't have to do that," she said quietly. The leader smiled faintly. "Maybe not. But sometimes, the world needs a reminder that good people still get protected." He dropped a few bills on the counter. "For the coffee," he said. She looked down. It was a $100 bill. "Sir, that's too much." He put his helmet on, his smile soft beneath the beard. "No, ma'am," he said, voice low. "It's exactly right." He pushed open the door, rain glistening under the neon light, and as 50 engines came to life behind him, the whole diner shook, not from fear, but from something stronger. Respect. The roar of engines filled the night as the Hells Angels lined up outside the diner, their headlights cutting through the rain. People walking past stopped to stare, unsure whether to feel fear or awe. Inside, the waitress stood frozen by the counter, still clutching the tray against her chest. Her heart pounded, but for the first time all day, it wasn't from fear, it was something else. Gratitude. Through the glass, she watched the leader talk quietly to one of his men before turning back toward the door. A gust of wind pushed it open again as he stepped back inside. His boots left wet prints on the tile. "Ma'am," he said gently, "you got family around here?" She shook her head. "No, sir. Just me. My mom passed last year. Been working double shifts since." The biker nodded slowly, his eyes softening. "You remind me of my daughter," he said. "She's about your age. Works hard, too. Don't ever let anyone make you feel less for doing an honest job." Her throat tightened. "You didn't have to do all that for me." He smiled faintly. "Maybe not. But men like that kid, they think money makes them bigger. We just wanted to remind him it doesn't." She blinked fast, trying not to cry. "You really scared him." "That's the point," he said quietly. "Sometimes fear teaches what kindness can't." He tipped his head toward the kitchen window. "Tell your boss to take the rest of the night off your shift. You've done enough." As he turned to leave again, she called out, "Wait, what's your name?" He stopped at the door, half smiling under the dull red glow of the diner's sign. "Doesn't matter," he said. "Just tell people the angels stopped by." The engines thundered again, louder this time. 50 bikes rolled down the wet highway like a wave of steel and fire. The sound faded into the distance, leaving only the smell of rain and gasoline behind. Across town, the rich teen sat on his expensive couch, staring at his bruised pride in the mirror. His friends were gone. His laughter was gone. And for the first time, he felt something he'd never felt before, shame. He picked up his phone, scrolling through contacts until he found the diner's number. His hand trembled slightly as he hit call. When the waitress answered, her voice was tired but calm. "It's me," he said quietly. I just wanted to say sorry again. For real this time." There was a long pause, then her gentle voice replied, "That's a good start." He hung up slowly, staring at the reflection of the bruised young man staring back. Someone who finally understood that respect isn't bought. It's earned. The next morning, the sun broke through the clouds, turning the wet asphalt into gold. The diner's open sign flickered back on, and the smell of coffee drifted out into the street. The waitress was already there, wiping down tables, humming quietly. For the first time in days, her shoulders weren't heavy. There was peace in her movements, soft, simple peace. The bell above the door jingled, and she looked up to see a delivery boy with a small package in his hands. "This came for you," he said. No sender name, just said, "For the girl who stood tall." She frowned slightly and opened it. Inside was a neatly folded black bandana, a tiny silver angel pin attached to it, and a note in messy handwriting that read, "Keep your head up, kid. The world sees you, and now, so does respect. R." She smiled through her tears, tracing the letter R with her finger. She didn't need to guess who sent it. She looked toward the window, half expecting to see leather jackets and roaring bikes, but there was only the soft hum of morning traffic. At the corner booth, an old man who had watched the whole thing last night raised his coffee in her direction. "You okay, sweetheart?" he asked. She nodded. "Yeah, I'm good." He grinned. "Those bikers, they reminded this town what it means to have a backbone. People been coming by all morning, saying they'll never forget what happened here." She laughed softly, brushing away a tear. "Guess kindness can roar, too." He chuckled. "Sure can. Louder than money ever will." Across town, at a truck stop miles away, 50 bikes sat lined up under the rising sun. The leader stood beside his Harley, sipping his coffee with a small grin. One of his men asked, "You think she'll be all right?" "She already is," he said. "Sometimes all a person needs is to be seen. We just made sure the world looked." They mounted their bikes, engines rumbling back to life. As they rolled onto the open road, the sound rose and faded again, thunder turning to wind. Back at the diner, the waitress pinned the silver angel to her apron and whispered, "Thank you," even though no one was there to hear it. She smiled, serving the next customer like nothing had happened, though everyone who saw her knew something had changed, not just in her, but in the town itself. If this story touched your heart, share it. Somewhere out there, someone needs to be reminded that kindness doesn't hide behind fear. It stands up, speaks loud, and sometimes rides with leather and steel. Because the truest angels don't fly above us, they walk and ride among us.